A janitor is cleaning up the elementary school building that he works in. Everything seems to be normal until he runs into some spooky noises and shapes. The poor janitor is so scared that he locks the school's front gate and runs away to hide for the night. Meanwhile, we see that these weird noises and shapes are being made by a bunch of young monsters. There is Kula, a vampire who lives in a locker in the basement of the school. There is Kula's sidekick Kong Kong, a cute zombie Zizi, Frankenstein monster Frankie, and Goblin Kebi. These monster kids live in this elementary school and hide during the day and come out only at night. As usual, this bunch of monster kids, known as the Spookers, head to class. The human who sits at Kula's desk during the day likes to draw on it. Kula, neat freak that he is, does not like this one bit. So, he takes out his cleaning kit and wipes his desk. After everyone arrives in the class, Kula notices something vibrating under his desk. Turns out, it is a smartphone with a cute bunny case. But before he can do anything about it, it's time for hiding practice. All the monster kids find different corners to hide from their class teacher, Mr. Reaper. They do their best, but everyone fails except for Kula, who shows impressive resolve. Mr. Reaper then teaches the class about the latest weapon that the humans have developed, the smartphone. Kula, realizing what it is, alerts Mr. Reaper to the phone under his desk. Mr. Reaper tells Kula not to touch it under any circumstances, but if he does touch it, he will have to put it exactly where it was. Following this, Mr. Reaper gives a quiz whose prize is a delicious lollipop. Kula has the answer, but KB says it louder so he gets the lollipop. While Mr. Reaper continues to talk about how humans react to losing their phone, Kula shoots the lollipop out of Kebi's hand with a spitball. After class, shenanigans ensue as the pals scramble for the lollipop. They do not realize that the phone is accidentally knocked into Kula's bag. Just before dawn, Kula goes back to his locker and wishes he could live by himself. In the morning, he is awakened by something vibrating, and he suddenly realizes that he has brought the cell phone back to his locker. So now, Kula has to return this phone in broad daylight. As the vampire sneaks around and gets bad sunburns, we're introduced to the phone's owner, Hana. She's also the one who sits at Kula's desk during the day and the one who draws on it. Meanwhile, Kula waits in a cubby until the end of school to return the phone. He is about to return it but sees the drawings on his desk. The vampire unwittingly gets busy cleaning off the desk and ends up getting caught by Hana. Despite the extreme differences between humans and monsters, Hana doesn't notice he's a vampire. She's more concerned with the fact that he has her phone. Being confronted by a human freaks Kula out so badly that he passes out, breaking Hana's phone in the process. When he wakes up, Hana puts a band-aid on his arm and goes to get the principal, Mr. Kong. When she gets back, Kula is nowhere to be found. The janitor tells of his experiences of hearing noises in empty classrooms and recommends an exorcist. The principal doesn't take him seriously and dismisses his requests. Hana, on the other hand, finds that her phone is now broken. Back in the principal's office, the janitor secretly calls the exorcist, a wacky, evil man named Hunter. In the meantime, Kula, panicked from the encounter, rushes back to his locker. Back at her house, Hana asks her dad for a new phone. He tells her that she has to get all A's this term in order to get one. The next day, Hana draws a picture of Kula on her desk, but then she realizes she used an oil marker, so that isn't coming off. As Kula enters class that night, his friends are gathered around his desk, which has his drawing on it. KB accuses him of showing himself to a human. Kong Kong hops on Kula's desk and completely demolishes KB's accusation. Nonetheless, the unyielding KB vows to keep his eye on the vampire. After a while, Kula gets the drawing off his desk with the help of a sandpaper. Hana notices this the next day and she realizes that the boy she saw yesterday must be in the school somewhere. She remembers Kula and how he cleaned her desk during their first meeting. After the classes get over for the day, Hunter comes to the school, which the principal does not like. He tells the Ghostbuster to buzz off, but Hunter tells the principal to give him a call in case he is needed. That night, Kula heads to class early to check if there are any drawings on his desk and finds none. He hears a strange sound coming from nearby and investigates it. Out from the closet bursts Hana, who seems to have fallen asleep in there while hiding. Kula freaks out, but Hana immediately interrogates him about paying for her phone. The situation is worsened by KB, Kong Kong, and Zizi walking in on them. Hana becomes quite disturbed upon seeing them, especially the one-eyed goblin. Everyone starts screaming in panic and eventually Hana passes out of shock. Following this, KB goes off on Kula. telling him that they're going to have to move because of this. Kong Kong, observant and adorable little man that he is, sees Mr. Reaper coming. Kula hastily throws Hana back in the closet, and everyone acts like nothing has happened. However, Hana soon wakes up to witness the lesson. Mr. Reaper speaks of the danger of humans, and how monsters should use any means necessary to ensure one's own safety. Shortly afterwards, Mr. Reaper goes out, leaving the kids to decide what to do with Hana. Kebi suggests that they get rid of her without a single trace. Hana points out that this would be a bad idea because she'd be a missing child case, and they'd search the school first because that's where she was last seen. Kebi eventually concedes, allowing Hana to leave. A few moments later, poor Hana returns to an empty house. She decides to do a little research on vampires on her father's laptop. The following day, Hana goes to school early with garlic powder, a crucifix, and a motorcycle helmet. Vampire or no vampire, Kula's gonna pay her back for her phone. Kula freaks out upon waking up and seeing the pesky girl right in front of his locker. Hana doesn't care what he is or where he lives. She wants her phone money. Kula goes back into his locker and Hana pulls out a megaphone and begins yelling. There's nobody here yet, but Kula isn't taking that risk. The vampire thus gives her some coins, which isn't nearly enough for a phone. A little later, Kula suggests that Hana just gets all A's. Hana explains that it isn't all that simple, but if Kula can't pay her back, Hana's just going to keep coming back. Kula offers to help Hana get her grades up since he doesn't have that kind of money. Hana laughs him off, but the vampire insists that he can help her. Hana asks if Kula even knows what subjects she's studying, and the latter responds by claiming that he's 109 years old, so this will be a piece of cake. Hana agrees and tries to seal it with a pinky promise. Kula doesn't know what a pinky promise is, leading to some mild ship tease. Elsewhere, we see that the principal is very upset about the lack of new enrollments, but he takes comfort in his nice glass trophy that was awarded to the school a few years ago. He loves that thing so much, cares for it, and even kisses it on a daily basis. Later that day, Kula heads off to tutor Hana but does not understand how umbrellas work, leading to shenanigans. This week's test is Spanish, but Kula is unprepared. Hana doesn't know the first thing about Spanish, and Kula doesn't either, because he insists on tomato being the right word instead of tomate. Hana flosses when she gets the word pizza right. Then she begins shouting that she is hungry. As if this wasn't enough, she asks Kula a bunch of weird questions about human blood. Kula gets so ticked when Hana falls asleep that he accidentally activates a previously unknown ability, hypnosis. Later that night, Kebi is messing around with Frankie's screws and accidentally activates some kind of berserker mode in Frankie. Kula comes up the stairs, Kong Kong hopping alongside him like a good little pal, blinded by rage, chasing after Kebu. Kula knows that if he doesn't do something, the Frankenstein monster will smash the whole school. He does manage to stop Frankie, but inevitably results in the beloved trophy being smashed. The spookas kind of fix it, but not well enough. The very next morning, as soon as the principal touches the trophy, it shatters. Now he's ticked and he's not gonna rest until he finds out who broke it. Elsewhere, Hana is reading about bats and asks Kula if he can transform into one. Kula, who is still in the process of figuring out himself, lies and says he can. Rather obviously, Hana asks him to do it in front of her. Kula comes up with excuses and Hana sniffs out his weak lie instantly. Later that night, Kula is up on the roof with Kong Kong, trying to transform. Kong Kong is trying alongside him, but he says that it simply makes him want to go number 2. Kula tries and tries until his arm finally turns into a bat wing. Kula keeps trying to, leading to various hilariously mishaps with wings where they absolutely should not be, which includes his tongue, an ear, and a leg. Kong Kong offers encouragement, and after several tries, Kula finally succeeds. After this success, Kula comes into the lesson the next afternoon as a cute little ball of fur. Hana reacts accordingly and asks him if he can fly. Kula once again lies and asks if she wants to see. Hana screams yes at the top of her lungs, alerting the principal and janitor. In the meantime, the janitor tells the principal that the new security camera system is up and running. On the other hand, a montage plays of Kula tutoring Hana, and the latter actually manages to pass her test with an A. As celebration, Hana slathers Kula in sunscreen, puts a hat on him and covers him with a curtain. She drags him off to a local park, to an area covered by trees enough so that the sun doesn't harm him. On the way there, Hunter sees this and immediately realizes something shady is going on. Meanwhile, Kula and Hana bond over being an outsider in their respective groups. In a flashback, Kula explains the Spooky's backstory. Mr. Reaper saved the kids from a team of monster hunters and took them all around the world to find a safe place for them until he found the school. Until the kids can live independently, the school is their home. As days pass by, Hannah helps Kula to learn how to fly. This is followed by a really cute and pretty scene where Kula flies Hannah around town on a swing. Back at the school, the janitor and the principal notice the monsters in the security cameras. Kula, being a vampire, doesn't show up on the footage. They are wondering what to do when suddenly Hunter shows up, and the principal finally accepts his offer. Almost immediately, Hunter uses a tracker to detect the energy signals of the kids and Mr. Reaper. He even asks for payment up front to get rid of the monsters. That night, Mr. Reaper announces that this semester of night school has ended. Instead of a final exam or something, he wants to celebrate, and they have a dance party. There is electronic music, disco lights, and the dance party goes on full swing. To everyone's surprise, Hannah shows up, dressed as a vampire. The other kids freak out, but Hannah manages to win over their trust by giving them lollipops. And thus, the dance party continues, with the addition of the human. But unbeknownst to them, Hunter is on his way. He hates the music, so he plays his own dark, twisted music. He then puts on a pair of strange eyepieces, which have a green reflective tint. Suddenly, Hunter bursts into the classroom and traps the kids in a laser cage. He thinks Hannah is the vampire at first, due to her appearance. He doesn't realize that the actual vampire has not yet been caught. Hunter shows off a hairdryer that he modified into a weapon that affects beings with a low body temperature. The bars of the laser cage have the same effect, enabling him to taunt the kids. Hunter grows suspicious, and he manages to find Kula's signature on his smartwatch. A tense scene unfolds as Hunter tries to locate Kula. The vampire applies the techniques he used in hiding practice at the start of the movie, but the principal spots him and points him out. Hunter fires at Kula, but before the weapon can hit, Kong leaps out of the cage and takes the blow. Despite all the problems, Kula runs away, being tailed by Hunter. The vampire tries to use his hypnosis, but Hunter's eyepieces block it. Hunter shoots his laser beam in retaliation, but Kula escapes out the window. Shortly afterwards, Kula locates Mr. Reaper and tells him about the current situation. He explains everything that's happened so far, but suddenly, Hunter arrives. He shoots at the Grim Reaper, but Mr. Reaper deflects it with his scythe. The Reaper tells Kula to go, and before the vampire leaves, Mr. Reaper asks for forgiveness. He says he is sad he wasn't kinder to the students. Mr. Reaper and Hunter have a brief, albeit pretty intense fight. As Kula runs away, a purple explosion bursts from the classroom, knocking Kula over and taking out his hearing for a bit. After processing what just happened, Kula runs as fast as his legs can carry him. He ends up tripping over a rock and being knocked out. Back in Hunter's nasty van, he's collected Reaper Sam's bones in a box, and he sets them on top of a small cage, right in front of the captive kids and Hannah. Thankfully, Kong's still alive, but he's very injured. The principal points out that Hannah, a human student of his, was also captured. When Hunter calls the monster kids savages, Hannah protests, declaring them her friends. Hunter laughs at this, calling Hannah sweetie pie, in a very uncomfortable tone. Nonetheless, Hunter locks up the back of the van, and Zizi wonders what's going to happen. Elsewhere, Kula wakes up in a white void, and the first thing he sees is Zizi. KB makes a remark alluding to Kula wanting to live by himself. This prompts Kula to remember what happened to Mr. Reaper. He turns around and sees their class teacher there. Kula runs up and hugs him, crying and apologizing, but Mr. Reaper dissolves into dust, and so do the kids, returning Kula to reality. He cries and blames himself for everything that's happened. Moments later, Kula looks up and sees the bench he sat on with Hannah. He remembers the times they've shared together, and Hannah's voice begins speaking. She reminds him that the ultimate test of friendship is risking your life for a friend. This gives Kula the resolve he needs to save his friends before daybreak. The scene abruptly changes as Hunter drives off, but is stopped by Bat Kula smacking into his windshield, causing the van to spin and the kids to be released. The van catches fire and Kula steps forward, smiling. The kids and Hannah are overjoyed to see their friend again. The joy is short-lived, however, as Hunter grabs Kula by the ankle. The rest of the spookas run and hide as Hunter asks Kula why he came back. Seeing her friend in danger, Hannah rushes to Kula's aid. Just as Hunter has Kula down, Hannah steps in front of the vampire and calls Hunter a coward to his face. But before he can do anything, the rest of the spookas rush in to help. Similarly, the principal rushes in and grabs Hunter's hairdryer laser. He fires it, But luckily Hana pushes Kula out of the way. Since Hana is warm, it doesn't affect her more than a hairdryer would usually. This means Hana can harmlessly serve as a meat shield. She also tells the principal off, saying that these kids just want to learn and grow just like any other kid at this school. Kula uses this opportunity to kick the gun out of the principal's hand. Unfortunately, Hunter breaks from the Spooka's grasp and gets the gun. He manages to shoot all of the Spookas with it, knocking them out. He puts his eyepieces in before charging for Kula, plowing right through Hana in the process. He grabs Kula by the throat and with malicious intent, chokes him. Kula tries to use hypnosis, but Hunter has his eyepieces in. He lifts the vampire up, exposing him to the rising sun. Kula goes limp, and Hunter drops him before walking towards Hana. But Kula clings onto his ankle, prompting the villain to fire a huge blast at Kula. Hunter, seemingly victorious, crouches over Hana and reminds her to stay away from savages. But somehow Kula withstood the blast, and while he is distracted, Hana gets his eyepieces off. In response, Hunter tries to smack her only for Kula to stop his hand. Hunter tries to strike Kula, but this time the principal steps in. Hunter quickly shakes him off and shoots Kula with the hairdryer, but due to the sun warming Kula, it has no effect on him. Reinvigorated, Kula beats the absolute snot out of Hunter before hitting him with the hypno eyes. Everyone is safe and unharmed while Hunter is thrown in jail for attempting to kidnap Hana. Since the principal stopped Hana's kidnapping, parents are flocking to enroll their kids. The Spokies get further good news as Mr. Reaper is also not dead. Unfortunately, Hana had to have her memories of the Spookies sealed away for safety, thereby restoring the status quo. But Kula knows that he'll be able to be Hana's friend again someday. He's grateful to Hana for helping him appreciate his friends more.